very good to play against a good team, and they have a really good duelist as well. So I'm excited to play against them one more time.
It's quick. Showstopper to Hunter's Fury. Osmos with the first blood. And even face-to-face against EU. No time to react.
They play a lot of contact sometimes. So there are guys that they're just walking behind stuff and they cross like smokes without doing anything and those stuff. So that's one thing to be watching for sure.
Lo único que necesitamos de nosotros es proponer nuestros juegos a salir, a querer ser los protagonistas del partido.
Shy and Clous, so much more to do here with a Cove propped up, placed up. It doesn't matter how many kills you get.
Y lo encararíamos de la mejor manera, obviamente con la confianza de verdad que nos merecemos ganar y queremos ganar. Nosotros quien quiere arriesgar, nosotros quien quiere de verdad demostrar que se lo merece y no salir como a no perder.
Welcome back, folks, to the VCT Americas mid-season playoffs and our lower bracket semi-final. It is a LATAM showdown between Leviatán and Crew. I'm Uber, joined on the desk by Wyatt, Mimi, and Ender. This is an elimination match. This is our two LATAM teams. This is our two #1 seeds. Only one can advance to go to Shanghai.
It seemed like LATAM was going to defy the odds and have two teams at this international event, Shanghai. That is not the case, sadly. And Crew have broken my heart, sadly. Even more sad.
Yeah, I mean, Crew, I think, kind of falling apart in that first game, got dismantled by G2, and Leviatán losing that close match to 100 Thieves now means these two teams that are probably the two squads most familiar with each other in our league are playing each other for the final spot. Every other region has sent all three of their teams. This is the last slot in Shanghai between these two LATAM squads.
And this is coming just 6 days after they faced off against each other in what was the most looked forward to match during group stage, right?
I was there. Yeah.
And even that series was a close one. It was a good one, right? Map 1, Leviatán dominated over on Ascent. But then the next two maps, both Breeze and Lotus, were down to the wire. 2 rounds in an OT separating the teams on Breeze and only 3 separating them on Lotus.
Yeah, and I honestly think that it looked like it was going to be a 2-0 for Leviatán. They were really in control towards that one, nearly coming back into that Breeze game. But again, this team truly showing their depth on that final map. Players like Tex and Mazzino in particular stepping up and having massive performances. And that's kind of where we started to see some of the cracks for Crew, right? I think Kesnet over pushing into things, taking risks that didn't pay off in the same way. And then that got even worse into that G2 game for Crew. So this is really the match where they have to prove to us that they can be that team that had the flawless group stage and that they're not just going to fall apart after hitting that first barrier.
Yeah, exactly. And especially like the players you just mentioned from Lev that were dominating in the clutches. I think that's on Lotus, where all those rounds started slipping away, was coming down to these 1v1 situations. Guy, like, they're getting the upper hand and it slips out.
Aspas a big part of that, right? I think something that characterized these teams is peaking at the right time. And even though Leviatán stumbled, Aspas has maintained constancy here as just an absolute dominant individual.
In that last matchup against Crew, Aspas was the leading statistical player in Americas. Kesnet was #2, and the two had better stats than any player in VCT history across the globe this year or last year, which is absolutely outrageous. And again, Aspas continuing past that to turn it up in the playoffs, where Kesnet kind of faltered in that first game. He had a really tough time on Reyna, and then was a little bit turning around. Aspas, he turned it around so much on map 2, Sunset. He was going crazy with the entries the other day. Really has to skip the beat.
Yeah, he was absolutely on fire. And in their series previously against Crew, too, was dominant.
Yeah, it would be a crime if Aspas doesn't go to an international event.
He's the best player in the world right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's no contest that he's the best player in Americas right now. This guy has been ridiculous, and he's proved to be at that level internationally before. And you just know he's craving to go back again. This is really a must-win for him and for this Lev squad that has had so much pressure to succeed when you look at the names on this roster.
Can we talk about the style of Leviatán here? Because I think something that stands out to us so often, is their proactive defense style. Something that 100 Thieves in the previous game actually turned off on purpose to get around G2. But for Lev, their reclears, their protocols have been really solid.
And especially on this Sunset map, they were playing super actively, going for a lot of these early dive plays up against 100 Thieves. And I think this really was a stylistic read into 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves we talked about a lot being very strong at sort of those set strats. But Leviatán, what they were trying to do
was activate Ospas on these double satchels to create massively chaotic round states to make it hard to deal with.
You got to give a lot of the credit for that, not just to Ospas, the guy getting those kills, but the person making those calls, King, the IGL, who's also sitting pretty consistently as one of, if not the best fragging IGLs in our league. This guy is so willing when he's playing the Omen to kind of be that second dive, to be going in with Ospas on a lot of these ideas, or even when they're giving Ospas freedom to do his own stuff. He's the guy activating into those plays and is so successful at it.
And I love that he's making the decisions as well to add a lot more volatility into their defensive play, especially because I think Leviatán is usually a team with really steady defaults, you know, how they play the openings of the rounds on defense, and then Ospas can wiggle his way into any position behind that. You never know where he's going to be because what they show you round to round is usually very similar. And then seeing on Sunset all of a sudden them doing all of these heavy aggro pieces, now calling against this Leviatán team is a lot harder because they're not going to necessarily give you that room to breathe at the start of a round.
Those fast reclaimers are also really important because Crew's a team who's really good on their attacking sides at playing slow and kind of setting up these like double embed lurks. And Lev's style does a great job of flushing that out, as we saw in the first game.
And again, Leviatán were the victors last time these two went head-to-head, but by no means was it a clean sweep. So let's find out. Clean sweep, you pick.
That's the
Coach Goked, though, I'm curious to see what he has in store for this rematch here to make it a bit more one-sided. So let's head over to Vansili and find out.
So, Coach Goked, you guys had a tough loss against 100 Thieves yesterday where you guys looked so good, but unfortunately that victory slipped between your hands. Was there anything that you had to refine looking back at that game yesterday that you want to fix today to make sure that you're able to beat Crew and go to Shanghai today?
Yeah, we started very slow, and that was bad. And then I think we're not flowing as much as we usually do, so we just went back to check which things we can do to a higher level today. Just review a little bit, and we're gonna try to do that to 100% today.
Awesome, work on those fundamentals. Good luck, man.
Okay, where's the squid? Fans, at least be consistent, for God's sake. It's been a minute, though, since Leviatán have actually qualified for a global event. I think the last one was in Champs in 2022, and that's not just me reading it off the teleprompter.
Yeah, it is.
You got me. Again, so it's been a long time. Let's talk about this team's journey, because that's, to my math, it's almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Is this the one where the spike incident happened?
Well, that was Copenhagen.
Oh, okay. Got it. Just making sure.
Leviatán was... people didn't know about this team until Copenhagen and then this Champs. Crew was always the dominant team from Latin America up till then. They made it to every international. They were always successful for that first year and a half. And then these guys, players most people hadn't heard of on the international stage, like King, came out and made this massive debut, even back then Shy playing on this team before switching over to Crew. Went out and shocked people, going on that run at Champs, coming into the year after that and having a great performance to start off our international leagues in Americas as well, and have kind of usurped Crew in a lot of ways as that most known LATAM team. But that's almost switched again with that run at LCQ last year. So for me, this is really a battle for the best of a region between these two organizations that have always had this back and forth.
And interestingly, with Lev being that top team for so long, it was kind of crazy to see Shy step down to go to Crew, who
voluntarily,
who typically were the second best team, but have leveled up so much this season. It's just the past couple games, I'm starting to get concerned.
No, I mean, but that was a crazy decision, right? Then you also have Lev coming in and trying to build this huge international squad, you know, pulling the likes of Com and Tex.
And that was also a risk, right? Like, LATAM fans were not super happy at first about that for obvious reasons, but the project, it's one of the rare super teams that has been getting results.
But now only one of these two teams can actually make it to Shanghai, and that is ridiculous.
I mean, it's worth talking about. Let's move to the other side of the aisle and talk about Crew, because this was a team who were dominant, undefeated, running through this group stage, and they run up against Leviatán. They don't start well. It's a very ugly start to the series. They do claw it back, but eventually they just get outlasted by Lev.
This was the game against G2. Jonah P was playing defense on the B side mainly as Viper. Now, this was in round 3, and he had flanked all the way through spawn. They're aware of that. This is round 4. He's flanking all the way through spawn. Again, this time they are able to get the round win. But then now on round 8, he's doing it again. He gets spotted by Kesnet, fires a molly, and they're just not watching for the flank again, and he gets 2 kills. And this was what was driving me crazy about Crew in that matchup. It was just these small little, pretty basic mistakes that kept adding up over and over. A player not being ready on an angle and just getting caught off when it should have been being watched. Not watching the flank in a simple moment like that, which was was really driving me crazy because during the season they were so fundamentally sound the entire time.
And I think they kind of slipped into that mode after their initial game plan was failing. They're a team who's really proactive at fighting into backside on their attacking sides when they're playing on this icebox map. When they're playing this arena, they have to go for a lot of these proactive plays. And G2 did a great job of playing back, setting up more so for these flood retakes and swinging them so often with 2-3 players into backside and owning Kesnet. And my worry with Crew is when those initial ideas, when Kesnet starts getting shut down, when that stops working, they'll sometimes start to slip on other mistakes. And then you'll see more and more hero plays. And it kind of tends to snowball. So really today is me looking for them to arrest that momentum that's been moving against them.
What does this say about Crew? I mean, is their initial plan not good enough, or do they just need a better plan B?
I think it has to be the adaptation.
I mean, I think adaptation for sure, especially when it comes to those things like flanks. But also, I think their comp does show some pretty serious struggles, especially against the game plan that G2 showed, which was just play very heavy flood retake. Because when you're playing 3 different flash agents, you overwhelm the A site. Sure, that's great. But if G2 or now Lev today, if we get Icebox and no one's playing on that site and there's playing to fast flood in, all of a sudden you've been sort of, invalidated in your choices in the pregame.
Yeah, you're giving up so many of those stall tools to index so heavily into that flash comp, and slower squads like G2 and also a team like Lev who can kind of turn down that pace really can punish that.
So I want to hear a bit more from Crew, and for all that we're going to head over and check in with Coach Atam, who's standing by with Van Silly.
So, Coach Atam, the El Clasico continues once again between Crew and Leviatán. You also had a chance, actually, to watch Leviatán as you were the first game yesterday. So, was there anything that you noticed from the Leviatán versus 100 Thieves that you could maybe adapt or exploit to make sure that Crew goes to Shanghai today?
I believe that 100 Thieves' energy outside of the game and inside of the game really punished yesterday Lev. So, our plan today is to go back to our energy, because I truly believe that our energy is even bigger than 100 Thieves. So that's our game plan for today.
Awesome. Keep the vibes up, and congratulations or good luck. I'm going to say congratulations in advance. Always like that. Why not?
Okay, let's talk about Heat. Coming into this team, there was a big question mark over what this player could provide, or maybe if there'd be any detriment there. But, comes into the year unsigned, joins Crew, and now 1 match away from a global event. What a come up for this player.
And that's crazy if you say it as the cliff notes, but when you go deeper and you realize actually the only reason he's here is because the guy he replaced had an injury, right? MTA 2 weeks before stage 1 starts needs to step away for a moment, and now we bring in Heat, and Heat's farming. But it's not just that, because you also have Heat, who is role swapping for the first time ever into Initiator. No prior experience on that, and he's also performing. You gotta be kidding me.
And you went into that from the year where his stocks, I think, dropped the most as a player. 2021, 22, people were so excited about this guy. It's one of the big prospects from Brazil, and then he gets on that MIBR roster in the first year of Americas, and it just keeps slipping and slipping, and they look like one of the worst teams in the league. And I think people stop believing in this guy. But then he has this massive turnaround to come back and has been really the catalyst for Crew this year.
And he's had the massive turnaround because people stopped believing in him and because he needed to turn around his mentality and his in-game play that at times was kind of selfish to actually earn himself a spot back at the top where he once was. It's been impressive. I mean, you mentioned the role swap. He didn't play, he was barely playing Initiator at all, even as far as I know, like outside of pro play.
Yeah, I think people were trying to check his ranked stats to try and see if he was practicing.
And remember, the narrative around this guy was, oh, he's a one-trick jet player, he's hot-headed, he's hard to work with, he's not going to make it on a big team. And then he just flipped all of that in this year.
Yeah, with roughly a week to practice with the squad before stage 1, and then he's coming out, putting up huge numbers, supporting his duelist so well, right? Like he's saying, yeah, if I'm gonna let anyone sort of, duelist alongside me, Kesnet is absolutely frying, so that makes a whole lot of sense. It's been so great to see how quickly he has connected with this team and been performing at the highest level.
I'm glad you point out the duo, I guess, he has with Kesnet, because Kesnet in an interview says, we think really similarly. We really just want to run in there. It's not so simple, but quite often, Heat is half a step behind Kesnet, if that.
And that makes so much sense, right? I think that in Valorant right now, we've started to see more and more duelist players shift into other roles, but the role swap that makes the most sense is going into Initiator, because you know exactly what your duelist wants to be doing, because you were just doing that, a few weeks ago, right? So when Heat is flashing his teammate in, when they both want to play fast, that makes sense, coming as 2 duelists skillless players sort of one mind in that.
But both these guys were getting shut down a little bit. The game plan wasn't working out in the game against G2. They were probably the biggest reason that Crew has had this turnaround. The game planning, the calling has been great, but these two individually have been performing consistently as the best two on the team, and we didn't see that last week.
And it was tough to find a bright spot, I think, at times for this Crew team in their loss against G2. But someone who stood out was Melsa, who, again, the story has been now those, IGLing duties have been relinquished to Clous, and he now is able to play on a higher mechanical level.
Yeah, and I think we saw, especially on the Icebox map, that he had a few really big pop-off rounds, keeping his team in the game, getting some round wins back in a game that was looking to slip further and further away. You can always rely on a guy like this to win you a couple of those rounds in the clutches, and that can be a strong backbone for a team, especially when you're struggling to find those round wins.
And he's become a guy that they can rely on often to win in the clutches, anchor sites effectively because of that IGL swap that we've talked about a lot this season. And we've talked about it a lot because it has had real impact that you can see every time they're playing the game, which is, of course, Melser was the IGL previously. Clous has picked that up this season. And it's actually even allowed Clous to have better games, surprisingly. I mean, last year, he was the 4th lowest player statistically in America.
How has that allowed Clous to have better games? He's got more responsibility now.
More responsibility, but I would imagine maybe in his case, it's just an understanding of what he can do, given he's the one calling the game for everybody else. He can kind of understand how he's going to
more agency, right?
He's the chosen one.
I think also when an IGL has a really good read on the game, they tend to also be putting themselves in...
What?
Why would you do that?
That was
you really think you were going to get him to sit back up? I'm trying to cut out the middleman here.
This guy's a monster.
I mean, how many times you were trying to put him back up? Unreal.
Give me 5 shots.
All right. I still have this if anyone needs a copy, by the way. Let's have a look at our predictions from day one. So far, not too shabby, gang. We got our luck here with that first game.
We were really close to all looking really stupid.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was exactly how I thought it was going to go, down to the wire.
What is the confidence level about this Leviatán team? Are we in the danger zone here?
Sadly, really high.
Okay.
I was so high on Crew this entire season, but I almost feel like they've kind of been mentally collapsed, which is why they're reverting to their old bad ways.
All right, the time for analysis is over. Let's send it down to the stage for Warcast.
You can't just do that.
Riot Games Arena, es momento de definir quién será el último representante en Masters Shanghai. Y vamos a darle la bienvenida al equipo de Américas, que se escuche para Leviatán.
All right, folks, we're running it back. A tough couple games for Crew. First falling to Leviatán and then struggling against G2, but their hopes for Shanghai are still alive. They're going to have to go a cut above today as Leviatán are also looking for a bit of vengeance.
The 12th and final spot in Masters Shanghai comes down to one of our two Latin American teams. Both these squads have had a massive turnaround this season, from 0-9 for Crew to a near flawless run in the regular season, but both of them failed in their first match of playoffs and have a one final chance to make it.
They have to step up here today against one another. Obviously, we talk about Osbos versus Kesnet. That, of course, is going to be a good one, too. But really, what I'm curious about is how these teams, end up, what we end up getting for maps between the two, right? How does Crew adapt compared to their series that they played just 6 days ago, right? Because on that one, falling so quickly on Ascent was a big problem for them.
I'm surprised.
They're going to Ascent?
Crew taking Icebox after what happened yesterday. Kesnet had such a slow start on the Reyna. I'm interested
Lev
to
have
see.
also looked weaker there. They play like the default Harbor Viper. I think we saw some moments where they were missing walls and things like that. It's definitely not on the top of their pool. And G2 had a great game plan, but there is a question of how replicatable that is for
I feel
Leviatán.
like it is, though. Like, I don't know. I think the fast flood retake of A, using like death utility on the spike planter, was really, really effective.
But
It's
if
something
they're
you can
playing
just pick
Harbor
up.
Viper still, they don't have those same tools that G2 did.
Sure, you can do things like, Viper Molly still, because very rarely was even G2 playing to get a kill, but there was still a lot of emphasis put on putting pressure on that planter and getting multiple players, 3 players usually, flooding out of heaven. And that's really where I think, like, a guy like Kesnet was struggling, right? Was he's in the backside on his own now, and now there's 3 players running him. That's why he wasn't getting any kills, because G2 weren't giving them any kills until there were 4 people overwhelming him.
Every time it was a double swing, it was heavy pressure, but we're not starting there. We're going to kick things off on Lotus here. And this was the 3rd map of the last series. It was a close game, 13-10 in the end for Leviatán. We shouldn't expect any changes in the comp here as we do hop into agents.
The biggest problem for Crew on this map was their attacking side. They went even, 6 rounds apiece on that, and it mainly came down to late round moments. Crew often with big advantages, but got crushed in the retakes that Lev were running against them, and the individual clutch power of some of those Lev players.
Up until this point, Lev have had my favorite defensive side on Lotus in Americas. They've shown so much intelligent variance with the setups that have made it really hard for teams to crack, despite it being a very attack-favored map. I mean, you could see Crew on attack, 2.5% win rate on attack is pretty strong.
It's do or die for both of our teams, and of course the trip to Shanghai hangs in the balance. Let's head over to our casters. It's Doug and Baby Bay.
Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, Dre, I think we're in for a treat. The story is simple. There's nothing complicated about this. You win, you're headed to Shanghai. You lose, you're done. This is it.
Yeah, and to me, what makes a good team great is how you bounce back from losses.
Yeah.
We've seen Lev bounce back from losses and win, 5 matches in a row?
Yeah,
up until yesterday.
Yep.
And Crew had a really, really rough showing against G2. So this is going to be huge, and if these teams want to make it to Shanghai and be great, they need to be able to bounce back.
You know, I'm reminded of that conversation we had with Atam where they were talking about that the Doc Rivers documentary. Pressure is a privilege, and the pressure does not get any greater than in moments like this, right? It's kill or be killed. It's a bare-knuckled fight where you have to survive. That's the only objective here, and it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Crew starting off on the attacking side in this best-of-3 gift that we hope is waiting for us on the other side.
Nardi, a decisive B hit coming out of Crew, but they get delayed right here. Baiting out utility is the name of the game, but they're all grouped up here. No extremity pressure whatsoever.
Yeah, the spit a perfect fit to keep him at bay for now. Starting to see a little bit more utility. And what's really found here is space. So Crew are able to waltz their way forward. And it's a flood. Oh, and they're trying to do it decisively. And Leviatán walk away on top.
And Lev were already positioned to crunch this B and be able to flood in because of the extremity control that they had.
Yeah.
Crew didn't go anywhere during that pistol round. So Lev understood, okay, as long as we don't give them any kills on the actual B site, we can just go flood in fast with utility, catch them off guard.
And that they did.
And this was the map that Lev closed out that first seed.
Yeah.
against Crew.
It was 13-10 the last time they danced. It was a good fight. It was a ton of fun to watch, but again, ultimately going the way of Leviatán, and now an opportunity to pick up right where they left off when the stakes could not be any bigger. You guys have heard us say it a couple of times, but we'll say it again. It's worth reiterating. One spot left in Shanghai, and a great kill from Clous.
Calm just got caught sleeping at the wheel there. Wasn't dialed in on his crosshair. Maybe looking at his mini-map. Lev now. They're going to have to re-aggro to get the trade.
Clous looking to double dip his way into a second kill, but now Leviatán wise to it, deciding they want to lean into the weapon advantage that they have. Relentless in their pursuits as Aspas satchels forward. Traded, though. And those numbers don't add up when you're the one with guns. The math ain't mathin', but Kesnet falling. Melser and Heat, the only two that remain. You got a late flank coming through from King, too. The turret, just a distraction. As he waltzes right on by. Melser, no real idea of what's waiting for him on the other side. Now the bullets rattle through. He understands he's been caught. And Heat left all on his lonesome as the smoke goes down. He's faced with 3 potential targets or 3 deliverers of death. Heat falls.
Amongst all the scrap, a lot of damage was done from Crew. I mean, they made that really, really chaotic for Lev. And there was a world where they could have brought that back. And even won the round.
Oh, you know,
really good damage done.
I'm reminded of the calm kill right at the beginning. Those are mistakes you got to get out of your system now, right? Get them out round 1, round 2 on map 1, because as this series goes on, the tension will build. The pressure will continue to persist.
And Calm definitely felt the pressure yesterday against Boostio. In this series, though, the mind games aren't going to affect him as much.
No.
He's not playing against a previous teammate.
I think his pressure continues to be the name of the game. We've got to talk about Crew and how they were incapable of handling the pressure that faced them yesterday. You saw it in their faces. They looked dejected.
Spike down, C.
They've only got 2 pistols on the side of the defense now as Calm has fallen, but traded back for Heat. A little bit of aggression towards A, as Clous is tasked with holding the line. A 1-for-1, a weapon upgraded.
You can't help but feel like if Lev steal this round away from Crew, that frustration that we spoke about, that we saw yesterday, might start seeping in. Playing a factor later in this match.
You wonder how thick that ice is. Showed cracks very early on in their last appearance, but now an opportunity to weather it once more. A quiet approach towards A.
Everyone's gearing up towards A from both sides. This is about to be an absolute scrap.
The first 55 have been tumultuous. Now slowing down, quiet.
It's gonna be a fight to the death.
The snap from Kesnet is good. King will fall. Melser trying to get across, but Aspas is there to respond.
30 seconds left.
Can Mazzino do it on his own with the Spectre? Not this time.
And that's the man you want stepping up for you in these scenarios. Getting the momentum, getting going, which he could not do yesterday. It felt like he got completely shut down against G2. So for him to get anything going, a 3K on the first gun round for them, and not getting bonus, this is a huge win for Crew.
You know, we've talked about it a number of times. Given the state of the game, any opportunity to avoid a bonus feels like a win. With just how things tend to go these days. So a big round win for Crew. They avoid disaster, and now we're going to be able to turn our attention towards another gun round.
Yeah, and another early C default here from Crew. And this is pretty standard play.
Yeah.
You do like a 3-1-1, and it's kind of like a seesaw effect for the attacking side.
There.
Lurk smoke goes out on the actual C site, but Clous is going to get contact here. He's lucky to escape there.
Info gathered. Now the question is, do Crew turn their attention C? Or do they decide that they want to reckon with the aggression?
Bring them down.
Seems like they're still split, perhaps a little bit indecisive.
Yeah. I think they want to push off any players of Lev off of this A line, make them back up, and hopefully find an opening onto this C. But this alarm bot will be the cue.
King is waiting just on the other side of the smoke. And again, you see Leviatán start to rotate towards C. Noise has been made. Time is short. It's just so awkward. They don't really have anything else they can commit around, so they've been funneled into the teeth of this defense. But can they be the ones to punch him in the mouth? Can they be the ones to scrap the
30
roof?
seconds left.
Leviatán just waiting in the fringe for the first strike.
Planted.
King is the one who catches in. Aspas going in aggressive. The rocket will land. It's only 2 now standing for the defense, and it quickly turns into 1. Mazzino with a flash in his face. The rocket will clean him up.
Another 3K for Kesnet. And he got the entry that round on top of it. He's feeling it right now. That was such a cool round from Crew, keeping 2-3 members of Lev towards that A side of the map with just a fade and a Viper there. And that opened up Kesnet to get that entry, lurking in with Melzer. That gets the rocket online. And that'll put Leviatán on a really light buy here. Sheriffs across the board, an Omen flash online, but that's about it.
Saddle up, Cowboy. You're going to have to do something here. You want to get the lead back with lighter weaponry. In the face of rifles, in the face of 2 ults, courtesy of Melzer and Heat. And again, it's aggression C. Leviatán have done a really good job of countering it with the pendulum swing that we've talked about, right? They deny a lot of that space A main while Crew tests the water seat, then swing back. Unawares of what's waiting on the other side. Unbeknownst to them, it's just a Sheriff, but it is a Sheriff in the hands of Aspas.
Yeah. Aspas has no nade. He used it early in the round to take control of A. So if they actually commit to this A hit, he won't have much besides his trusty Sheriff and mechanical abilities.
Look at the rotations. Just when it seemed like Leviatán was going to fully commit A, something.
And Kesnet is staying here too. He wants to show on purpose and try to keep as many players of Lev as he can here.
The smoke and mirrors here are everything. If they can make enough noise A to manipulate the rotations, they're going to buy it. But now the Q's back, and I don't know that they were able to get away far enough. The Nightfall invested, but Leviatán are here. Haven't been able to upgrade any weapons, but there is power in numbers. Will it be enough to overwhelm, though? Every single one of them flash, with the exception of Kesnet, who's still a little bit further away. They all crumble as Crew take the lead.
Crew right now are playing a really just fundamentally correct macro game where they're taking control of C, going back A after the enemy team decides to, deposit somebody and back up. You can't hold every single lane on this map as the defensive side.
It's impossible.
So they're playing this seesaw, and it's working out perfectly for them. I do think they went a little bit too quick here. They should have let Kesnet cook a little bit more on that A side of the map, but still, you see the fundamentals are there today. They're not forgetting like they did yesterday. And they need to in a moment like this where this is the tournament life for Shanghai. Change of pace here, a fast A default. Reading into the fact that Lev might want to stuff them in that C area where they've been defaulting for the last 5 rounds.
Tex has every single bit of utility anchored in on this site, but of course he's the first to fall.
It's a big opener from Clous.
All of a sudden, a bit more room to breathe on the site.
Look at the utility.
King is caught. The Nightfall traded back. How much more can Kesnet find? He continues to push his way forward, now having to satchel back. A little bit of space found, but ultimately falls as Aspas gets 2 with the nade.
That'll give him another one on top of this.
Should have a lot more room to work with, and there it is, primed and at the ready in hand. The second will sail.
He used it so early though, Doug. It doesn't matter.
These kills are everything. Yeah, it's big on Shy to be able to drop Mazzino. Now you have as a numbers advantage.
And it's planted from Mound on top of that. This is so hard to take. This retake's going to be nearly impossible.
Calm as an eye.
He's going to have to go huge here.
Aspas with utility. And it's not a belligerent approach here. It's cautious. Given the numbers disadvantage, a bit more methodical, a bit more careful about the attempt.
This is nearly impossible.
Yeah, the tap is just a threat, the spit in their face, the spam coming through. Maybe you find a free one, and holy smokes, they found 2.
Do they have time? They do have time.
Shy has to get these kills. How have they gotten away with that? On Unbelievable! I said it was nearly impossible, but they found a way.
Oh my gosh! That was so clean from Calm, just spamming. And Crew, a big blunder. I mean, all they had to do was not line up. That was the only way they lose in that scenario.
Aspas just does so much damage there, and again, between that and Calm getting that massive spray down there.
That's the birthday boy.
Birthday boy. He's cheesing hard right now.
For good reason, man. We're tied at 3. Early on, Crew back to their old ways, back to testing the water C.
Oh, this is a very unique C fight. Mazzino TPing up on top of that box.
There's a lot more investment here. You're right.
Forces Melzer to have to back off.
But now the swing back.
Yeah, and the thing is Lev wants you to run towards this A side of the map, where they have the Killjoy and the Viper. They are going to be fighting a little bit early here, though.
Well, it was ultimately ineffective in the last round. In this case, it's going to be the same.
Oh my gosh, what is Clous on today?
With Tex falling first, the utility is pointless. They're happy to take these fights if that's how it's going to shake out.
That's a really weird decision from King and Tex in that scenario.
Calm getting dropped as well as Clous gets his 3rd on the round.
Surely this is a save.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, what is Clous on? I'm telling you, Doug. This guy's got 4 to his name already.
Surely you hunt for the ace here, but the final boss awaits. No stranger to multi-kills, no stranger to aces into 5Ks. And he robs Clous of the opportunity. A reposition as he attempts to fight the second, and sure enough, he's got it, the nade to dissuade, but it's not enough.
Big round from Clous, who looked very frustrated in his own play yesterday.
I mean, the whole team did.
Yeah. He came in, woke up today with a vengeance.
There's always something a little extra in moments like these, where everything is on the line. Survival is the game. A little extra edge to you. And we're starting to see that.
When your back's against the wall, especially with the performance they had. The last 2 matches they played, against Lev even, right?
Yeah.
You have to turn up in moments like these. And the IGL right now sitting at the top of the scoreboard above Kesnet, who was the start of the momentum of the Crew train.
Early on, though, good signs for Crew. Again, a Crew that we saw the last time they were on the stage just seemed like a shell of themselves. They seemed like almost like an imposter in a lot of ways. They were reverting back to their old habits and their old approaches to things. Kesnet was kind of fighting on his own. It really didn't feel like it was a cohesive approach. But this, so far, I know it's early, but has been a return to form and something that was desperately needed.
Looks like an A fight will be the name of the game here. But Crew, wise to just do a spread out default here. I don't think anyone's going to take too aggressive of an opportunity. A little bit of utility invested from the attacking side towards A for Crew, but they know they have to give.
I think the question here is, Dre, does Aspas pull the trigger on this rocket?
I think he will.
There's presence. He's got 2 satchels.
Should be right on cue after this nade, potentially.
And he's got a whole freaking firing squad right behind him.
Oh, they don't like what they've seen. Want to give here, lean towards the B side of the map.
Not convinced of the presence on the other side is Lev, and so they go strolling. But perhaps returning to the scene of the crime, where Crew still are.
Crew know there's something fishy here. That's why they're playing so methodical.
They only get 1, but Crew are there to trade back. That was labored. King winning on the other side with a pistol.
Down A.
This has gotten messy.
Calling my bot.
Shy and Mels are still standing, but separated.
Mels are creeped in.
Now reunited.
Oh, he made a footstep. I think Calm heard
left.
that. Should be a free kill on this off angle.
Calm's gonna get both, isn't he?
Oh, so clean.
Calm's gonna get both. No, Shy's there to trade back. A 1v2 in the face of pistols. A winnable situation for Leviatán. If they can pull this off, if they can land the shot, Shy almost caught. 19 HP. A switch to the weapon. That's lighter. In theory, oh my gosh!
We gotta let that cook. Surely that makes up for the round. The 3v2 post plan earlier.
More heroics. This time from Shy.
That was a big moment. In that 1v1 against King, King had 1 bullet to his name. And he just taps out Mazzino's head like that. I mean, even they can't believe it.
Back into the action we go. The pit invested right off the bat.
Oh my!
And Mazzino already falling.
That was a solo mission from Mazzino, or from Melzer.
In a lot of ways, it was for Mazzino as well.
Yeah. It's a Omen diff.
They speed things up just to slow them down. After the opening engagement goes the way of the attack. Silence. Calm showing a little skin, throwing the shoulder to try to get any info.
No one's nearly close enough to help him here.
No. But honestly, right now, the objective is info because they're being starved of it.
Here comes the rotations on the minimap. That Viper's Pit will be going down soon. And I like this approach from Crew. They're up 4v5 and they're still investing a Killjoy ult to just guarantee the site.
There are layers to this too. If it gets really messy, he has his ult.
Com's dead.
Do they pursue? There's reinforcements just on the other side. You got to be cautious about it. Aspas waiting, but with 7 HP. Doesn't dare swing. Now things will settle. That's a second ult invested, this time into a 4v3. Kesnet getting the best of King. They have to save. They're out. Do Crew hunt.
They do have the money to, and Kesnet's 1 off of that ult orb, so he should just knife out, run it down. Worst case scenario, you die and get an ult orb. But Tex is nearing that lockdown as well.
Kesnet will fall. Another orb to Aspas.
Yeah. That will guarantee a raise rocket going into the next round. And this is a big snowball from Crew. Wow.
Six rounds. Only separated by 1. The 6th for Leviatán, of course. That kill at the beginning was massive. And really no punish there. They did such a good job of zoning off any sort of reinforcements. Calm was just isolated.
Yeah, poor guy. He even tried to stick around, make anything work. And then the tether nade comes out. Aspas, no way to help him at all.
Full rifles for the attack. The ult for Kesnet.
Oh, this aggressive approach the last 2 rounds from Melzer. The confidence is flowing.
Kesnet pushing forward, looking for a target. 74 HP, but Mazzino's on the trade. The swing is perfect.
He was on an island there. Way too ahead of his team.
You imagine Paranoia's traded, and now the Nightfall invested as Tex gets another. On the fringe of death at the beginning of the round, but now striking back.
And Crew now left in such an awkward spot.
They still have guns though. It's just 2 rifles on the other side. Down in numbers, but up in firepower.
Shadows traveling. Calm is so pushed up at this front B area. So when this plant goes down, there's so many angles that Crew have to be worried for. That turret really should only be getting the water area, and this is a Viper's Pit infested. Everything on Melzer here.
Yeah, he's got to find value. He's already got the first. How much more can he find? The swing is ill-advised. As the trade comes through, but how much more can they get?
Last player standing.
It's all on to Shy now. Tex with 4. A big response from Leviatán.
And Tex waking up in this series so far. He had 2 kills before that round.
I love explosions.
And for the side of Crew, you can't help but wonder if you just gave a free round away like that. I feel like, yeah, you're destroying the game so far. You won, what, 6 of the last 7 rounds before this moment?
Yeah, before this
Keza just getting a little too ahead of himself there, allowing Tex to get momentum going into the future rounds.
Dancing on a knife's edge here. Into the 11th we go.
Crew need to hone this game back in and play a little bit more disciplined. They let it slip a little bit that last round.
Can they hang on? Can they hang on to this half? Again, the last time these two teams danced on this stage, it was in the way of Leviatán to close the series. But now an opportunity for Crew to get revenge. They continue to try to manipulate these rotations. It's all eye candy.
Yeah, Lev this time though, holding it up down for the re-clear on the A side of the map. Heat should use a Prowler on this angle with a jump spot or something of the sort.
There's the Prowler. There's the swing. Aspas getting his one and getting away.
Oh, he wants more. Whoa! How's Calm alive?
Not punished. Meanwhile, Aspas is. Another one going down.
Equalizer.
Now satcheling forward towards A. The eye to clear the way. And King, the only one close by.
He just snuck on.
Hey, he's got to play his timing here, right? I mean, surely he doesn't take this fight on his own unless it's brought to his doorstep. Kesnet just on the other side.
Oh my gosh.
Position now given away. Do they let him stay?
Oh my gosh.
Kesnet's timing is gorgeous. A 3v2 in favor of the attack. Calm is on the prowl, but will the timing line up? Because he's on his own now. On the swing, Heat not able to land the shots, but damage done, 41 HP. And they will find him.
In Calm, he can only be in the Matrix for so long.
Last round
I feel like he just dodged 2 whole mags. They get taken down though. Kesnet, a big round once again.
12-7 for the duelist.
This was crazy.
Kesnet played that so well, understanding if there was going to be help, it was going to come from heaven. So instead of dealing with King, who's caught, he clears the other.
Find you.
Last round of the half, couple of volts on the cards. And Crew really just sticking to the game plan here.
Oh, they're going to commit to this one. This is going to be a very decisive C hit.
And that's a slightly different flavor. Committing to it, but in the face of the utility from Tex, who has started to warm up, started to come online, decides he doesn't want to take the fight. A 5v5 fight for the site to close the half. Remember, Aspas still has his ult.
Yeah.
Melser with an opportunity to reposition potentially. As you hear, the fuse has been lit. Aspas going forward, not connecting on anything. And as that dissipates, the rest of the gunfire erupts. Aspas finding 2. With the Phantom pushing forward, Melser and he try to keep them back. It's all into Melser now, and he will crumble. Leviatán gets a 5.
This is gonna be
Switching sides.
A scrappy fight and a battle between these two teams. We're seeing so many different looks compared to the first time they played, and it's really loose from both sides. And I think this shows what it means to be in a rematch. You've already played basically a full game plan against each other. So now it comes down to mechanical skill and individual prowess, honestly.
Yeah, speaking of mechanical skill and individual prowess, earlier we spoke with Crew's Clous about that transition to an IGL role and what it takes to be an in-game leader.
2021 con Crew, o sea, cuando estuve con Crew, con Onur, él me dijo de ser IGL y nada, pues eso, es una breve historia de que él me dijo que tenía como potencial como IGL y esa fue mi primera experiencia. Es algo que se me da más fácil que a otros el poder IGLear, por el simple hecho que siento que ya como que tengo muy automatizado las decisiones o las reacciones son muy rápidas o como que ya tengo bastante como flexible esa parte del pensamiento de ser IGL siento que puedo como hacer dos cosas a la vez y las puedo hacer bien, jugar y al mismo tiempo como estar pensando en qué hacer en la ronda, a quién decirle qué hacer en este momento, cosas así. Y también al mismo tiempo la calma, o sea que soy una persona que tal vez no repite mucho lo que dice, así como eufórico, y es como un balance en el equipo que algunos son más eufóricos, otros son más tranquilos, y yo siento que en el rol que tengo es como que tengo que tener cabeza fría y pensar bien lo que vamos a hacer. No sé, o sea, no le veo el lado malo, la verdad, dije. Tal vez algunas personas le ven el lado malo de que tal vez no, como que se limitan a decir que tal vez no pueden performar bien por el simple hecho de que están pensando en lo estratégico, en cómo va el equipo, y yo siento que no es así. O sea, creo que el mejor ejemplo es Asian QT de Sentinel, que es el IGL, y es muy buen jugador. O sea, él siento que es muy buen IGL y es muy buen jugador al mismo tiempo, y me siento como, no sé si motivado, pero como que digo, o sea, esa persona es como es el lugar a seguir de un IGL. O sea, de que igualmente que estés IGLeando, que estés pensando en otro juego, tenés que performar bien, y por eso no te puedes dar una traba a jugar mal. Así que yo no le veo el lado malo, sino que intento hago las dos cosas bien, y lo intento todos los días, que es consistente.
It's a rare opportunity to get to pick the minds of an IGL in that manner. So, Dre, I would love to get your thoughts on this. Given how the map has gone, given how the season has gone for Crew, is there anything that stood out as you listen to Clous process being an IGL for a squad like this?
100%. That's being calm and consistent. If he's not calm and consistent, he's not going to be able to stay into this. And as I say that, Tex taking the head clean off of Melzer.
Tex, who's had a slow start and is ramping up now. Heating up for his squad. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the map, space denied.
It's a free C site.
And the thing is, they don't know it though. So they're so cautious about this approach.
We're gonna find out soon off of this Prowler not getting any contact. A lot of utility still invested though. And this flank, this push through A, if you guys are looking at the minimap, it's a little bit too late.
But Calm is gonna have a lot.
Already adjusted.
He's gonna have a lot to deal with on his own though. Oh, but they've given him ones.
Oh, he spotted him.
He spotted Heat, but he can't take care of him. It's Clous who gets Clous who gets a kill.
I think they know King is close as well.
Oh, they know now.
Oh, Heat!
King overwhelmed. Heat is free. Aspas, with a world to do before him, falls at the hands of Kesnet Lotus.
And again, we're talking about individuals, and in rematches specifically, what the key factor is, everybody already knows what your game plan is from both sides. You've already done it. You've already done the whole ringer. It comes to the individuals having to step up, make plays based on intuition timings that they got the last time they played.
And what a delivery from Tex there. Alongside Heat.
Oh my gosh. It's like robotic. And Crew had no business winning that round, if I'm being completely honest here.
When a player takes over a round like that, it's just full momentum ahead. And so they go into the next with a Guardian, with a Vandal, and then some lighter weaponry surrounding it. A little bit of noise made, some orbs gathered. Makes sense. 2 Heat now halfway to his ult.
It's a give and a take. You give C control, you take the A orb. Classic stuff.
Yeah, gentleman's agreement.
I already like the way that Crew are maneuvering around this defensive side though. They started off taking A control, now they re-cleared front B. That allows them to lean over towards that C side of the map. If you're King right now from Lev, you need to find alert timing and relieve the pressure off of all the players that are outside of A.
But can he find that timing?
Toxin screen down.
Oh, Melzer's willing and ready to take this fight.
King takes a significant amount of damage. And he's trapped now, waiting on the other side of the wall. Heat has arrived with a Vandal in hand and footsteps aplenty. All 3 of them fall.
One enemy remaining. Spike down A.
Tex left with so much to do and can't convert on any of it. A flawless round for Crew.
And again, King just cleared out that entire area of the map. They're not ready for these random plays that Crew are making. He's sneaking into that little off-angle position there. He's on his lonesome here. If he dies, that's a free Vandal for the enemy team. Again, I have to stress the mind games that go into a rematch. You want to make plays that are unsuspecting to the enemy team. Those little couple of rounds, those swing rounds. Yes, this was an eco. Yes, the first round was just a pistol. But now, going on forward on this attack, Lev have to worry about the flank.
And that's Heat with an ult online this early because of the success that he's been able to find.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Leviatán not interested in A, with the exception of King, who's there to hold the line, serve as a barrier of sorts, and maybe punish if anyone gets a little bit too curious. But the attack with eyes set on B. You see the utility setup, but it looks like it's going to be delayed for just a moment as Aspas manages to get away.
I feel like Kezin's going to wish he held onto that grenade.
I like this too. This doesn't feel like it's going to end C. You're just clearing out as much Killjoy utility as you can, and the map is still open for you.
Yeah. They're playing it so slow. The problem is, if they do commit to the C site, yeah, they got rid of the blender, but...
Is that going to be enough on the other side?
This is going to force a B hit from Lev, and they're running straight into the Fatal. Crew has been ahead of them this entire time. Viper mollies to relay C as well.
They're all here. Hey, they're all here!
Oh my God.
They have nowhere to go!
And Doug, they may have gotten rid of the blender of the KJ utility, but they didn't get rid of the blender of the guns and the Spectres out of the side of Crew.
I mean, they had no chance. What a beautiful call.
Crew had complete map control the entire round.
Yep.
King is so scared to take early control and work up on that A side of the map. And that might be an adaptation that he needs to make himself, or maybe switch up the default. You've shown a C side default for a lot of time. Maybe now you start leaning towards that A side. But Crew are ahead. I mean, they're actively re-clearing front B.
Yeah.
They're moving with the movement that Lev is doing. They're following them almost. Following them into spots that they want.
Hey, even in that situation, corralled and controlled by the Fatal, there was perfect. And again,
it was so sick.
And again, it was only available because of the impact that he'd had in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
You know, think if he doesn't get that many kills in the first 2 rounds, he doesn't have that ult available. Who knows if maybe the B hit is a bit more successful, but you're starting to see the implications of the decisions and how things play out early on in half.
And King going down there forces Lev to have to speed up C. But what happens? Clous throws a molly there. That funnels them to the B site. That's where the fade all comes out, and now you're just stuck to run into that 3-man crossfire on the site with a Viper orb up. I mean, it's really, really good play now from Crew. This is like a completely new team. I spoke a lot about what makes a good team great, and right now, Crew are showing a lot of signs of a great team.
An entirely different team in a lot of ways. Not just in how they're performing, but again in the outcome of this map. It was 13-10 in favor of Leviatán the last time. Now Crew styling all over him.
This is going to be a proactive re-clear fight from Crew.
But how much do they invest into this? Not fully convinced.
The nade!
It's the suck nade! It's perfect!
I think that was off of an Omen flash as well, so King had no idea what hit him.
Big kill from Calm to alleviate some of the pressure. But Kesnet pushing forward. 3 on the round.
Spike down B.
He's
One
back.
enemy remaining.
The disrespect.
Calm again in a situation that I feel like we've seen too many times. The end of the round, outnumbered and outgunned. Having to figure out how to solve a seemingly impossible formula.
Yeah, this is a family photo, as Riv would say.
30 seconds left.
All 3 there. And there's really no way in. I imagine he just tries to save the weapon. Try to catch anything he can.
Yeah, going down here isn't the worst case scenario. You get an ult orb. If you can get any kills as well, why not? Looks like he's just going to save the rifle here. Oh, here's an orb.
10 seconds left.
A free one found.
Yeah, that's good.
Min-maxing his way and getting as much as he can. But Crew will get to their 11th. Leviatán still look lost.
Yeah, and again, King going down early. Not getting value in that spot. This time a different look on the reclear for Crew. So they're showing us different levels to their gameplay. Small changes that they weren't able to really show yesterday at all.
There was that early suck nade combo again.
Yep.
Really nowhere for King to go. They had him red.
Enemy remaining.
And you would like to think that after Calm gets that kill from whoever pushed of Crew on C, that maybe you take control of water if you're going to go through B, not commit to the plant there.
Kesnet with the op online. He's leaning C. That paranoia is gorgeous. Meanwhile, a warning shot delivered. Do they take space off of this? I mean, they tagged everyone, but Leviatán are still persisting forward.
They have no control of C. And this allows Crew to rotate that up. Maybe when this wall goes down, Kesnet will take another angle. There it is, King going down again.
The rotate away. Back towards C.
They're trying to avoid Kesnet at all costs. Trying to emulate the success that G2 had.
As many pump fakes as possible, as much misdirection as could be injected.
There's still a Killjoy turret here.
And a nano. And a fade. And an omen.
I mean, they're so ahead of the game.
And a raise.
Kesnet has nade, like you said. This is gonna be disaster for Lev.
The first one procced. 35 seconds left in the round.
Oh man, they're trapped.
This stall is insane.
30 seconds
A little reminiscent of what we saw a couple of rounds ago. This time without the fatal, but with the op from Kesnet.
Lev have no idea what to do.
Toxin screen down.
I feel like we rarely see King in a position like this. And now with 10 seconds left, the ambivalent approach allows for Crew to stack B.
Oh man.
One enemy remaining.
No space found.
You're exactly right. I don't think King has ever been in this position before. He's just getting punished time and time again towards this A side of the map. Another new look, a Kesnet up.
Match point.
And he's floating around the map. These are really good signs. Going into a map like Icebox, where the op has so much impact, especially on that defensive side. Yeah, Lev just not able to figure out anything, and it's just tough calling from behind every single round. When was the last time we saw Lev get a first blood?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that it's happened at all this half.
Yeah.
Melser feeling some of the pressure. Takes a quick step back. Leviatán insistent on wanting to go aggressive C. And they've been separated. Aspas up front with a rocket in hand, and now the rest of the team funneling in behind. Sure, the rocket doesn't go off, but the space has been gained. And the spike planted. Mazzino on the tap. Kesnet trying to get away. A quick satchel. Should provide safe passage, but Mazzino and Comp punching back. Finally, numbers in favor of the attack. An advantage that surely doesn't go back the other way. And it doesn't. Leviatán not done with Lotus yet.
And King in this scenario who's like, you know what? I've been dying at A every single round at the start. Let's just go for the classic C hit. They guessed right this time.
Able to overwhelm the defenses. And also, I mean, this fight here is huge. As soon as they understood where the pressure was coming from, they decide to take it to their doorstep. And it just doesn't go their way.
Yeah. Even that fight off the door opening up. Com and Mazzino taking the same angle. Fighting together. These are the things that Lev need to keep on doing as the series progresses.
Do they dare hit C again? This time they have Texas ult they can play around with. And right on cue, invested. Thing to mention here is Leviatán don't have space anywhere else on the map. So this is not really going to manipulate much. And they've lost the space.
Yeah, this is a very deep alarm bot front B as well.
Plan A of this goes awry. But they commit anyway. Oh, Clous and Kesnick keep them back. Kesnick goes aggressive. The ult in hand is 3. It will fall. Tex cannot do anything.
Defenders win.
Crew is slaughtered. Leviatán on Lotus.
This is a map that Lev won to close out the first series they played against each other to secure first seed going into this. But the implications of this match are far greater than the previous.
This is not the same team we saw yesterday.
Clous with 6 first bloods. Put some respect on his name.
A massive performance.
A player who looked defeated yesterday.
I do think, though, on the other side of the stage, the big standout for me was how Clous just called circles around King.
That's crazy.
I mean, how many times did we see them frustrated, suffocated, stymied on attack? They had nowhere to go. They didn't know what to do.
I've never seen Lev look like this against a team, especially on Lotus. This is a good map for them. I feel like they have a good idea of how to manipulate rotations, how to move around the map, just like they did in the first series. But Crew came ready to play.
We'll see if it continues into the next map. Icebox on the other side. We're going to take a break. We will be right back.
Hey guys, it's Jimmy Lin. In this series, I'm going to walk you through attack on Pearl. Watch out for the stairs, clear this angle. You're going to be able to fight this.
Red Bull gives you wings.